Hello there and a very good evening. Welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlene Benedict for the Newsfirst team. Let's start off as usual with a look at your top stories for tonight.
The national celebrations of the International Forest. Two tanks to be constructed in the Sinharaja forest to provide water to Hambantota. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa confirms. No one has the right to do away with media freedom. A statement from Anura Kumara Disanayaka.
මේ මාධ්‍ය නිදහස ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ ලයිසන් එකක් නෙවෙයි. තොරතුරු දැන ගැනීම සඳහා තිබෙන යුක්ති සහගත අයිති.
Constructions in the land adjacent to the Sinharaja forest removed. Driver involved in the Passara bus accident remanded.
Sirasa Media has been a platform for all politicians, as we believe in the people's right to know all sides. It will be interesting to see who stands up for the people's right to know and for media freedom. Those who do will be remembered by the people. We are in possession of the statements made by those who are steadfast and direct. Be that as it may, today is the International Day of Forests. Therefore, it is only apt to give utmost prominence to that matter tonight.
The national celebrations of the International Forest Day was held today at the Lower Andaravava area in Hambantota. The chief incumbent of the Pantharama Mahaviharaya, Venerable Kalutara Panyathisa Thera, and the State Minister of Wildlife, Vimalavira Disanayaka, expressed these views during the event. It was said that the entire country has been shrouded in myths. That 5,750 acres of lands in Pollebedda Ampara had been cleared. The Rambakanoya water project was carried out by our administration. Chamal Rajapaksa laid the foundation stone for the project. It was declared open by President Mahinda Rajapaksa. When I visited the area, I noticed that not a single tree had been cut down. The project had been taking place on bare land spanning about 100 acres. That is not a forest. It was only bare land. I visited the area before the so-called environmental patriots. Not a single tree had been cut down. They had dug the ground on bare land. But Minister, these banana cultivations that you can see in a distance were not there before. This was forest land. Elephants inhabited these areas. Go and visit the coconut, jack and breadfruit cultivations of these villages. You will be able to see that a herd of about 11 elephants roaming across fields spanning 3 to 4 acres near the Vava. I think that the district secretary is aware of this. These are state lands. Someone must have purchased them for 2, 3 or 4 million rupees. They have sold away state lands. This is an act of theft and corruption. Therefore, those engaged in these cultivations must be questioned. Who gave these lands to them? If that is found out, then the individual who sold the land, the cultivator, and the brokers will also be exposed. If there are land deeds, a case must be filed in court and injunctions must be taken against them so that the legality of those deeds can be tested.
The government has planned on a project to construct 2 irrigation tanks inside the Sinharaja rainforest to provide clean drinking water to Hambantota in the far south. This was revealed by the Minister of Irrigation, Chamal Rajapaksa, in Virakatiya yesterday.
අපි තංගල්ල බෙලියත්ත වීරකතිය වලස්මුල්ල
The Ging-Nilwala diversion project was proposed when Mahinda Rajapaksa was the president in order to move water from the Ging and Nilwala rivers to Giruvapattuwa and provide water to Tangol, Beliyatta, Veerakatiya, Valasmulla, Dambarella and other areas. The project was awarded to a Chinese company and they prepared the plans. However, the project was stalled over the past 5 years. A payment was made to the Chinese company and we have taken the necessary steps to implement that project. We are facing a minor challenge, that is, we need to construct 2 small irrigation tanks at higher ground inside the Sinharaja forest. Each irrigation tank will span across 5 acres inside the rainforest. However, Singaraja is a protected area and one cannot even remove a seed from inside. Therefore, we are discussing with them to allow us to construct these tanks. For the 5 acres inside the rainforest, we promise to grow a 50 to 100 acre forest elsewhere.
Moreover, rubber cultivation is to be used to increase Sri Lanka's forest cover.
Rubber is also a tree considered in Sri Lanka's forest cover. This district is ideal for rubber cultivation. When rubber is cultivated, not only will it increase the forest cover, it will also be a source of income for the people. We can generate an income by selling tires made using the rubber sap collected from these trees.
Meanwhile, our correspondent reported that the dam constructed by constructing a natural waterway of the Singaraja forest on a plot of land that gave rise to much controversy is being demolished. When inquired on the matter, the chairman of the Central Environmental Authority, Siripala Amarasinghe, told Newsfirst that he had issued orders for that construction to be demolished. The chairman said that the Kalawana Pradeshiya Sabha was ordered to demolish all illegal constructions in the area.
Steps had been taken to demolish this dam following an expose made by media on this matter. If not for the media, this natural waterway would have remained obstructed to satisfy, undoubtedly, personal interests. Isn't this incident a testament to the importance of revelations made by the media? Moving on in more local news, leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, celebrated International Day of Forest today in Habarat Velasuriya Veva in Hambantota.
A tree planting program was held under the theme Husma Ganna Ida Denna, under which 100,000 trees will be planted across the country.
නිදහස් ජනමාධ්‍ය දියුණු සමාජයක ලක්ෂණය. නොදියුණු සමාජවල තමයි අපිට ජනමාධ්‍ය නිදහස්.
Freedom of the media is a quality of a developed society. It is in underdeveloped societies that freedom of media has been lost. We have to definitely safeguard media freedom in our country. Where there is freedom of media, there is protection for democracy. Where there is no freedom for media, democracy will die down and a dictatorship will lift its head. The media can self-impose limitations on themselves, a self-regulation. Politicians have no right to silence media. Free media has a right to reveal the truth to the people. Any government or any politician has no right to suppress the media. We have not forgotten that Sirasa was attacked. Siyatha was also attacked. Lasantha Vikramatunga was killed. Eknaligoda was abducted. Poddala Jayantha was tortured. In addition to this, we all remember the era of suppression against journalists such as Upali Tennakon and Keith Noya. I would like to clearly state, as the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, we will not let such things take place in this country.
හිංසනයේ සිදුවුණු යුගය අපිට මතකයි. මම පැහැදිලිව කියන්න කැමතියි සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ හැටියට මෙවන් දේවල් සිදුවන්නට අපි අපේ රට තුල ඉඩ තබන්නේ නැහැ.
අප දන්නවා දැන් ජනාධිපතිවරයා සුපුරුදු පරිදි සෑම සෙනසුරාදාම
Every Saturday, the president goes for a program called Gama Samaga Pilisandara. Basically, it is a program organized every Saturday for him to lament on the issues faced by him rather than to lend an ear to the issues of the people. Yesterday, he made several comments. Some of them were a threat to several journalists and specific media institutions. Through those comments, he conveys a message that he has the right to exert influence. He has no such right. He also said he paved the way for media freedom. Media freedom is not a license or a privilege given by the president. Media freedom is the right both the people and the journalists bear to be informed. He also goes on to say, I will not allow such things and I know how to teach them a lesson. I cannot fathom the reason for a president to make such a comment on teaching a lesson to the media. There were horrific lessons taught to the media in recent times. The studio complex of Sirasa was destroyed using 2 claymore mines. That is one such horrific lesson. Lasantha Vikramatunga was assassinated. That was a horrific lesson for editors and journalists. Eknalikoda was abducted and forced to disappear. That is yet another lesson for journalists in the country. Poddala Jayantha was abducted and assaulted and left in the street. Keith Noya was abducted, brutally assaulted and left in the street. The same happened to Upali Tennakon. Those were the horrific lessons given to Sri Lankan journalists. This is influence aimed directly at media institutions and journalists. At the same time, the president said He did not add any influence. That itself is influencing. The president needs to understand clearly that this is a different era. The rulers of that era also learned lessons from those horrific incidents. He also spoke of legislation. Only parliament has the power to draft legislation and not the president.
ඊළඟ ඔහු කියනවානේ නීති. ඔව් නීති ගේන්න. නීති සම්පාදනය කිරීම බලය තියෙන පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට. ජනාධිපතිවරයාට නොවේ.
The JVP filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigations Department on the Facebook page called JVP Parisaravedyo, loosely translated as JVP Environmentalists.
මේ JVP පරිසරවේදියෝ කියන ගිණුම
JVP Parisaravedyo is a fake account created to post pro-government content while trying to portray that it belongs to the JVP. The president is quoting a fake account created by his camp. The president has used this fake account to label us in the JVP as those who promote fake content and create doubts about us in society. We are disappointed that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has fallen to a level to quote content from a fake account. His voter base of 6.9 million did not expect him to quote from fake accounts. That could have been done by the MPs from Badulla and Monoragala who always beat the drum. If the president is compelled to use content from a fake account for a political campaign, it clearly shows the president is left helpless and also the present state he is in. However, we should not permit him to reprimand a political party. Details about when the JVP Parisaravedyo page was created, who created it, who paid for the sponsored content on the page, whose credit card was used for the payment can be traced by the Criminal Investigations Department. The CID must report these facts to the president. If the CID is trying to undermine this complaint, it can only mean one thing, which is that the president or his camp was aware of the fake account that was used to be quoted during this Gama Samaga Pilisandara program. The president must be held responsible for the comment he made to the media. He cannot simply wash his hands from this. He could quote a different matter next week. The president's fake act needs to be defeated.
එනිසා මේ ව්‍යාජ රංගනී ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ ජනතාව රැවට්ටීම සඳහා කළ මේ ව්‍යාජ රංගනය පරාජයට පත් කළේ.
The views expressed by a contestant on the Sirasa Lakshapati program were a testament to the people's attention towards environmental destruction. We did not witness action being taken in Alnavilludava, similar to the action taken by some officials in the forest department and the police following this girl's remarks. I said I had witnessed hundreds of acres of land cleared on my way to Kabilitta via Monaragala. Only a couple of trees were remaining. The other trees had been set on fire. They had set fire to the environment surrounding the trees. The dead trees fall off after a few days. Then no one has to cut down trees. Anyone travelling to Kabilitta via Munaragala can witness the destruction that has taken place. Some individuals raise questions as to why we need oxygen. When the contestant expressed her views on deforestation, she never said that the government was involved. She never made a single reference to the government. But it was the government that panicked over this. When members of the government express their views to the media, all they do is criticize this. They are threatening the media, both directly and indirectly.
සම්බන්ධ බොහෝ දෙනෙක් මයික්‍රොෆෝනයක් දැක්කොත් මේ කාරණේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් තමයි මට ගන්න. මාධ්‍ය ආයතන වලට ඍජුව සහ වක්‍රව තර්ජනය කරනවා.
මිනිස්සුන්ට එක්ක පිස්සු වෙන්න ඕන. මිනිස්සු බොරු කියන්න වෙන්න ඕන.
Either the people have gone crazy or they must be lying. It is the people who obtained 6.9 million votes from the people of Sri Lanka who say this, not us. They say that there is no deforestation, no destruction is caused to the environment, and there is no construction of hotels. Media only reports. It is the people who decide. Nowadays, not only social media, mainstream media also has to report the truth. But you can only operate on lies for a short period of time. You cannot run a country with threats. You can only run a country by working.
කාලයක් විතරයි. ඔය තර්ජන වලින් නම් රට පාලනය කරන්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. වැඩ කරලා රට පාලනය කරන්න පුළුවන්.
In the past, we saw certain media outlets fearlessly reporting the truth in an unbiased manner. This doesn't seem to augur well with the politicians. The president has leveled a serious threat in Nildandahinna yesterday. They try to interfere with the media when they cannot respond to the problems. It is shameful to note that a US citizen had referred to an Indian connection in his remarks. But we know that the media outlet in question portrayed the truth to the people and rendered a great service when the government attempted to sell off the East Container Terminal. That would mean that India intervened to protect the port. But the leader who made that statement was of the stance that it must be sold. Therefore, do not harm media institutions that are rendering a great service. If that happens, it would not be long before they are unseated. We wish to remind the government that this cannot be prevented.
ඒක වළක්වා ගන්න බෑ කියන කාරණාව තමයි අපි මේ ආණ්ඩුවට කියන්නේ.
The Livelihood Development Committee of the Gampaha district convened yesterday. Discussions were held on numerous issues including acquisition of lands.
දැන් පදිංචි ගොවිතැන් කරන්නේ ඒකේ ජීවත් වෙන්නේ ඒකේ පරම්පරා දෙකක් ජීවත් වෙච්ච තැන. දැන් මේ වන සංරක්ෂණය කියලා මිනිස්සු එළියට දාන්න හදනවා.
අතිරේක දිසාපතිතුමා අපිට පැහැදිලි කිරීමක් කරන්න මේ ගැන.
මෙතන හෙක්ටයාර් 38ක් තියෙනවා. අවුරුදු 45කට වැඩිය කාලයක් භුක්ති විඳිනවා මේ මිනිස්සු මේ ඉඩම්.
ඒව ඉක්මනට කරලා ඉවර කරන්න එපා.
ගරු අමතුමනි අපේ දිසාවන් නිලධාරීතුමිය අතේ තමයි ඉතිරි වැඩ කොටස් තියෙන්නේ.
මෙතන ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ කමිටු දෙකකින් තීරණය කළා තියෙනවා රක්ෂිතය.
The issue here is that two committees have reached a decision to release these lands. This is the first forest reserve in Sri Lanka that was declared by way of gazette on the 20th of May 1885. A scientific report has been given on the biodiversity of this area. This is the final catchment area of the Kalin River and the Meethirigaloya. The Meethirigaloya area has a highly sensitive ecosystem. This is the only natural forest in Gampaha. I invite you to come and visit this area. Come and see if I'm lying. There is a law that governs forest reserves. If people have constructed illegal settlements in forest reserves, they must be removed. This disrepute is brought about due to wrong decisions taken by officials. Politicians are inconvenienced because of the decisions taken by officials.
නිලධාරීන්ගේ වැරදි තීරණ හින්දායි දේශපාලඥයනි අපහසුතාවයට ලක් වෙනවා.
ජෙනරාල් තුමා ඔක්කොම එක්ව වෙලාද ඔබතුමාලා ওই තීන්දුව ගත්තා?
මේ තීන්දුව අරන් තියෙන්නේ වන සංරක්ෂණ අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජෙනරාල් තුමාගේ ප්‍රධානත්වයෙන් පැවති රැස්වීමකදී. වන සංරක්ෂණ අමාත්‍යාංශය හරහා කැබිනට් එකට ගිහිල්ලා ඒවෙන් අනුමැතිය ලැබිලා තමයි මේ ඉඩම් නිදහස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා මේ පිළිබඳව මේ
නිදහස් කළා නෑ. ජෙනරාල් තුමා නඩුව අයින් කරගන්න කියලාත් නෑ මට.
මේ 1876 නෙමෙයි. මේ 2021. 1876 දිහා බලලා දැන් තීන්දුව ගන්න බෑ. මේ ඇකේසිය ගහක් කපුවා කියලා නාවිය නඳුරු උසාවි ගෙනිච්චා.
රක්ෂිතයක ගස්ත
සර් මම කරන ඉල්ලීම
මේක පෞද්ගලික මට්ටමට යන්න එපා කාරණා කරලා නෑ ගත්ත තීන්දුවත් එක්ක දිසාපතිතුමාට ඔබතුමා අපිට ඊළඟ දිස්ත්‍රික් කමිටුවට අපිට වාර්තාව දෙන්නකෝ.
As the world celebrates the International Day of Forests, today the people of Sri Lanka continue to engage in multiple struggles to protect and preserve the vast forests and wildlife of our country. These are only but some such examples. The human-elephant conflict has posed major issues to the people amidst the declining forest cover of the country. Against this backdrop, farmers of Galgamuwa are staging a protest today demanding a scientific solution to their woes.
None of these people give us a solution to this issue. They just come here to campaign for an election. We are not going to stop this. We need a permanent solution to this. 4 people have lost their lives already. We do not know what will happen to the life of the people who are here today.
There is a route in the Kahalla Pallakali Forest Reserve for the elephants to travel from Rasvehara to Uzgala. This road has been completely blocked. These lands have been handed over to large companies. They are clearing these lands. With environmental destruction taking place at this rate, it is the farmers who have to suffer at the hands of these animals.
As farmers of Galgamuwa continue their struggle, a farmer was hospitalized after being attacked by wild elephants in the village of Porotu Kadawala. Meanwhile, the Satyagraha launched by farmers of Valsapugala demanding authorities to gazette a managed wild elephant reserve entered its 64th day today. Farmers are demanding that a gazette be published to identify the managed wild elephant reserve proposed by authorities. Elsewhere, the Satyagraha launched by farmers of Valsapugala at the Mahiyangana town entered its 5th day today. The Satyagraha is taking place with the involvement of 37 farmers groups. The only plea of these farmers is to resolve the worsening human-elephant conflict, including in Mahiyangana. The wife and children of a victim who fell prey to a wild elephant attack joined the Satyagraha today.
දරුවෝ දෙන්නෙක් සමග තමයි මමත් මගේ මහත්තයාත් කුඹුරු වැඩ කුලී වැඩ කරමින් ජීවත් වුනේ. දැනට මාසෙක දවස් 10ක් වෙනවා වල් අලි උදුර නිසා මගේ මහත්තයා මිය ගිහින් මට බොඩි බබට අවුරුදු 6යි ලොකු බබට අවුරුදු 12යි. අපිට ජීවත් වෙන්න මාර්ගයක් නැහැ. ඉන්න නිවසක් නැහැ. මහත්තයක් මලගම පවා ගත්තේ දෙමාපියන්ගේ නිවසට. මට දැනෙන දුක මේ දරුවෝ දෙන්නටත් දැනෙන දුක අපි වගේ වෙනත් පවුල් වලට නොදෙනේවා. මගේ දරුවෝ දෙන්නට ජීවිතේ තියෙන තුරාට පියතුමෙක් නැහැ. මට ස්වාමි පුරුෂයෙක් නැහැ. රට පාලනය කරන බලධාරීන් ඔබගේ ඇස් විවර වේවා. අපි වගේ දුකක් මින් ඉදිරියට නොවෙන්න ඔබතුමාලගේ වගකීම් යුත්තන්ගේ ඇස් විවර වෙලා ඉදිරියට වැඩ කටයුතු කරන්න.
Although they plant trees and other structures in Colombo, the elephants cannot live on these lands. Therefore, the leaders of this country must understand that they need to construct ponds inside forests to benefit the elephants.
Several organizations, including the Badulla District National Intellectuals Organization, pledged support to the Satyagraha as well.
Only a few media outlets have been reporting on the environmental destruction taking place in the country, but the rulers of this country are stubborn, so they are threatening these media outlets. Therefore, people will be able to observe how this problem aggregates in the future.
The Satyagraha launched in Madhavachya, demanding a scientific solution to the human-elephant conflict, entered its third day today. The demonstration is taking place with the involvement of the All Ceylon Farmers Federation.
There are areas from which these elephants encroach into Madhavachya. The officials know about these. We will continue this struggle until we get a scientific solution to this problem.
Meanwhile, a group of residents from Palugasrava staged a satyagraha today, opposing moves undertaken by the government to acquire a private plot of land. The Mihintale Divisional Secretary said the land comes under the purview of the government. He said the villagers do not have a legal document to claim ownership of the land.
Welcome back to the news. The drivers of the tipper truck and the bus involved in the accident that occurred in Passara and claimed the lives of 14 people have been remanded until the 25th of this month. As highlighted by Newsfirst yesterday, area residents have continued to point out that a rock that had fallen onto the road was a leading cause for the accident. Our cameras captured the manner in which speed bumps were being installed along the road today. Needless to remind you that the Passara accident caused the untimely demise of 14 people, including a father of 3, who would have celebrated his birthday today.
Anthony Noah and Benedict Madonna had boarded the bus to travel to the Badulla General Hospital for a surgery on Anthony's eye. The bus, which usually departs the Lunugala bus station at 6:30 a.m., had departed 5 minutes earlier yesterday. The unforeseen early departure meant that the couple missed the bus by a matter of minutes. However, since Anthony was due to undergo surgery, the couple hailed a tuk to board the bus from its next stop. Unfortunately, in a tragic turn of events, their journey was cut short when the bus rolled down a precipice near the 13th milepost in Passara. Anthony and his wife were unaware that yesterday's journey would be their last. Anthony and Madonna, who were residents of Lunugala, led a simple life with their 3 children. Anthony, who worked as a welder, raised his children and supported his wife with many expectations to provide his family with a better lifestyle. Their children, 2 daughters and a son, aged 9, 4 and 8 years, have now been orphaned in a cruel twist of fate.
October 2020, retail price of sugar exceeds 130 rupees. 13th of October 2020, import levy on sugar slashed from 50 rupees to 25 cents. 27th of October 2020, import levy on sugar increased up to 40 rupees. Under the Special Commodity Levy Act, the latest levy would come into effect in a month. Revelation made on 320,000 metric tons of sugar that were imported between the 14th of October 2020 and the 20th of February 2021. Pyramid Wilma identified as the importer, accounting for 30% or 125,000 metric tons of the total exports.
The tax revenue lost by the country as a result of reducing the levy from 50 rupees to 25 cents stands at 15.9 billion rupees. That means that nearly 16 billion rupees has been lost as revenue to the treasury. The benefit had reached the public to a certain extent, but it was not up to the expected levels.
As the digital age continues to engulf our world, smartphones have become a piece of equipment that we cannot live without. However, with the rapid progress, an ominous risk looms at large, and that is the risk of spyware and malware. A spyware named Pegasus has stirred fears among WhatsApp users in recent months.
Do you know what the Pegasus app can do to your phone? The spyware, created by an Israeli technology group named NSO, affects both Android and iOS phones. It allows hackers to access the phone's camera, microphone, files, photos, and even encrypted messages and emails. To infect a phone with this spyware, all a hacker needs to do is to make a WhatsApp call to a user. The phone would get infected even if the call is left unanswered. The only way to get rid of the Pegasus spyware is to discard the phone. Governments that use Pegasus, from Saudi Arabia to Mexico to India, say the spyware is used to stop security threats. But it is also used against civil society actors, journalists, and even rights activists. Is Sri Lanka geared to prevent such intrusive softwares from infecting its citizens' mobile phones? Sri Lankan users would hold the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission as well as mobile operators totally responsible to ensure that such intrusions to their privacy never occur.
The central bank has extended the suspension on banks from purchasing international sovereign bonds in a move to ease the pressure on the rupee.
In a notice published this week, the central bank said that all banks have been suspended from purchasing international sovereign bonds from the 23rd of March to the 9th of April. This was after the rupee depreciated to more than 200 rupees against the US dollar this week. Meanwhile, the Monetary Authority has also issued a circular suspending a directive that requires banks to sell 10% of workers' remittance to the central bank. The central bank has also issued a circular suspending another directive that requires banks to sell 50% of export proceeds deposited by exporters in US dollars.
In more financial news, Sri Lanka has decided to approach India for a $1 billion currency swap facility.
Officials at the Finance Ministry and the Indian High Commission told Newsfirst that discussions are underway on the $1 billion swap between India and Sri Lanka. The discussion for the new swap facility comes weeks after Sri Lanka had settled a $400 million swap facility with India recently. Meanwhile, China also recently approved a 10 billion yuan currency swap to Sri Lanka. The swap is equivalent to $1.5 billion.
Moving on to some news from overseas, a Maldivian media outlet has made an explosive revelation on a defense deal that was signed between India and the Maldives last month.
India and the Maldives had signed an agreement on maritime security and the development, management, administration and maintenance of MNDF Coast Guard harbour at Uturu Tilafalu. Uturu Tilafalu is an island in a lagoon area near the Maldivian capital of Malé. The Maldives Journal reported that one of the articles allowed Indian troops to quote-unquote carry arms and other such equipment. The clause also allows Indian military personnel to use and operate the communication facilities to carry out maritime surveillance and security-related tasks. The journal said that Indian vessels and aircraft would have unrestricted free access to berth or land at UTF. They would be afforded full diplomatic immunity and exempted from paying taxes.
මේ ඉන්දියානු මාලදිවයින ගිවිසුමෙන් අපිට මතක් වෙන්නේ පහුගිය කාලවල ලංකාව
The agreement between India and the Maldives reminds us of the SOFA agreement between Sri Lanka and the US. The SOFA agreement vested massive powers with the US. Their army would receive immunity under the agreement. US security personnel would be authorized to wear uniforms while performing official duties and to carry arms while on duty. This exemplifies the pressure exerted by world powers on other nations. These are serious matters in the face of regional peace and the country's sovereignty.
මේවා බරපතල කාරණා විදිහට තමයි අපිට පේන්න තියෙන්නේ.
In your sports news tonight, the train of nostalgia reaches the last station today, as Sachin Tendulkar's India legends are taking on Tilakaratne Dilshan's Sri Lanka legends in the grand finale of the World Road Safety World Series. Chasing a target of 182 for a win, Sri Lanka are currently 40 runs for the loss of no wickets at the end of 4 overs. And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Charlene Benedict for the News First team, along with our sign language interpreter for tonight, Tarka Gabriel. Take care. God bless.